Have you ever noticed how the moment someone compliments you, a voice in your head whispers, they don't mean it, they're just being nice? Or maybe when a friend checks in on you, instead of feeling warmth, you feel suspicion. Do they actually care, or do they just pity me? It's exhausting, isn't it? To never fully trust the kindness around you, to always wonder if people are secretly rolling their eyes while offering a smile. And if you're honest, maybe you've pulled away because of it, doubting friendships, pushing people away, rejecting love, just in case all of it was fake. Here's the thing. You're not alone in that feeling. And more importantly, there's a deep psychological reason why you might assume people are only being nice out of pity. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why your brain does this, what it has to do with Alfred Adler's powerful theories of psychology, and most importantly, how to shift this mindset so that kindness stops feeling like pity and starts feeling like what it truly is, genuine connection. So stay with me, because this is one of those insights that can quietly transform your entire relationship with yourself and with others. Let's put this struggle into everyday words. Think about the last time someone complimented you. Maybe they said you looked good, or maybe they thanked you for something simple, like helping out. What happened in your mind? Did you brush it off? Did you think they're just saying that to be polite? Did it feel uncomfortable, almost like being exposed? That's the trap. Instead of receiving kindness as connection, you reinterpret it as pity. Almost as if every kind gesture is proof that you're lacking, weak, or unworthy. It's like your brain has a filter that twists every compliment into sarcasm, every smile into condescension, every check-in into charity. And if you've lived with this mindset long enough, you know how heavy it gets. Because doubting kindness doesn't just hurt your relationships, it feeds loneliness. But here's the real question. Where does this come from? Why do so many people carry this suspicion like a shadow? To answer that, we have to step into the world of Alfred Adler, one of the founding giants of psychology. Adler believed that at the heart of human psychology is something called the feeling of inferiority. Now, don't let the word scare you. Adler didn't mean weakness in the sense of failure. He meant something more universal, that every child grows up noticing their smallness, their dependency, their imperfections. Think about it. As a child, you look up and see adults who are bigger, stronger, smarter. Naturally, you feel smaller, less capable. That's the beginning of inferiority. And here's the twist. How those feelings are handled by parents, teachers, peers, shapes the way we see ourselves later in life. If a child grows up in an environment of encouragement, that feeling of inferiority becomes fuel. It pushes them to grow, to strive, to contribute. But if a child grows up in discouragement, where mistakes are ridiculed, where comparisons are constant, where they feel unseen, then that inferiority becomes heavy. It stops being a push forward and instead becomes a permanent belief. I'm not enough. And once that belief sets in, every act of kindness gets filtered through it. So when someone smiles at you, instead of feeling connection, you feel exposed. They see I'm weak. That's why they're being nice. When someone compliments you, instead of feeling valued, you feel pitied. They're just trying to make me feel better. Do you see the shift? It's not about the other person. It's not even about their words. It's about the story you've been carrying since childhood, the story that says, I am less than. But here's where Adler becomes truly hopeful. He didn't believe people are stuck in those stories. In fact, he believed the opposite, that we always have the power to rewrite them. So the real question is, how? Adler introduced a concept with a long German name, Gemeinschaftsgefühl. Don't let the word intimidate you. In simple terms, it means social interest, or even more simply, the sense of belonging. At its core, this idea is powerful. Human beings are not designed to live in isolation, measuring themselves against others in a constant competition of worth. We are designed to live in cooperation, to recognize that while we're different, we're equals. We all contribute in different ways to the shared life of the community. Now, think about what happens when you assume people are only being nice out of pity. In that moment, you've quietly stepped outside of belonging. You've placed yourself on a lower rung of the ladder, as though everyone else is strong, capable, and complete, and you're the fragile one who needs charity. But Adler's insight flips this perspective completely. What if kindness isn't about pity at all? What if it's about connection, about recognizing that you and I are part of the same human community? When you start seeing yourself as an equal among equals, kindness takes on a whole new meaning. It stops being charity and starts being relationship. It's no longer someone stronger reaching down to help someone weaker. It's two people standing on level ground, exchanging warmth, recognition, and humanity. And the payoff here is huge. The same smile that once felt condescending can suddenly feel like genuine warmth. The same compliment that once felt fake can suddenly sound like truth. What used to sting becomes encouragement. What once felt humiliating becomes human. This is the shift Adler invites us to make, from suspicion to connection, from inferiority to equality, from isolation to belonging. But of course, the next question is the one you're probably already asking yourself. Okay, that sounds great in theory, but how do I actually make that shift in my everyday life? That's where we get practical. Theory only becomes transformation when it turns into practice. Adler didn't just want people to understand encouragement, he wanted them to live it, to try it in small, everyday ways that slowly reshape the way we see ourselves and others. Here are a few Adler-inspired mindset shifts you can begin practicing right away. 1. Reframe compliments as recognition. The next time someone offers you a compliment, notice your instinct. Do you brush it off, laugh it away, or secretly tell yourself they don't mean it, they're just being polite? That reflex is often a defense mechanism built on self-doubt. Adler would encourage you to pause. Instead of dismissing it, try reframing it as recognition. Imagine, for a moment, that the other person sees something in you that you cannot yet see in yourself. Borrow their eyes for a while. Let their words be a mirror that reflects hidden strengths. Even if it feels uncomfortable, practice saying, "Thank you." It's a simple but powerful step in training your heart to accept kindness without suspicion. 2. Replace "I'm less than" with "I contribute differently." Comparison is one of the great thieves of encouragement. When you measure yourself against others, it's easy to slip into the thought, "I'm not enough, I'm behind, I'm less than." Adler challenged this idea by insisting that every individual has a unique role in the larger community. Your worth doesn't come from perfection or from being identical to someone else. It comes from contribution. The next time you catch yourself spiraling into comparison, pause and reframe. "I'm not beneath anyone. I contribute differently." This isn't denial. It's a reminder that your path, your skills, your humanity add something irreplaceable to the world. 3. Practice small acts of connection. Instead of waiting for others to prove their kindness is genuine, turn the process around. Initiate. Send a simple text. "Thinking of you today." Offer a small thank you at work. Hold the door open. Smile at the cashier. These may feel like tiny gestures, but Adler understood they carry enormous psychological weight. Every act of encouragement you give doesn't just help others, it reprograms your own heart to see kindness as normal, reciprocal, and real. And here's the most surprising part. The more you give genuine encouragement, the easier it becomes to accept it, because your brain begins to believe what Adler always believed. Kindness is not pity. It's the shared language of belonging. By the way, if you're finding this breakdown helpful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. We dive deep into the psychology behind everyday struggles, and trust me, the next videos will build on this in ways you don't want to miss. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss what's coming. Because what we're about to dive into is Adler's most powerful idea, one that can completely transform how you experience kindness. Adler had a phrase that captures one of the most liberating shifts we can make: the courage to be imperfect. It sounds simple, but for many people, it's the hardest thing in the world. Why? Because so often, behind the belief that others are only being nice out of pity, there's a hidden demand we place on ourselves. If I were flawless, then I'd finally deserve kindness. Then I'd know it was genuine. Maybe you've felt that way. Maybe you've thought, if I looked better, if I achieved more, if I never made mistakes, then people's compliments would finally feel real. It's a perfectionist trap, the belief that love and kindness must be earned by reaching some impossible standard. But here's the problem. No one is flawless. So every time kindness shows up, the perfectionist filter dismisses it. They don't mean it. They're just saying it to make me feel better. And the cycle repeats endlessly. Adler's insight is that the way out isn't through perfection. It's through courage. The courage to let yourself be seen exactly as you are, not as some polished, untouchable version of yourself, but as a real, imperfect human being. This takes strength because it feels risky. What if people see the flaws I see in myself? What if they notice I'm not as confident, not as successful, not as put together as I want to be? But here's the paradox. When you allow yourself to be imperfect, you actually connect more deeply. People don't fall in love with perfection. They fall in love with authenticity. They connect with vulnerability, honesty, and humanity. And in that moment, pity begins to lose its grip, because you no longer need people to think you're flawless in order to accept their kindness. You give yourself permission to be loved as you are, not as you imagine you should be. Adler believed this courage to be imperfect is the antidote to the shame and suspicion that keeps us isolated. It frees you to see kindness as real, not because you've earned it, but because it's part of the human bond we all share. But even with that courage, Adler knew something else. The shadow of loneliness can still linger. The question then becomes, how do we face that loneliness without falling back into old patterns of doubt and self-rejection? Adler had a simple but profound observation. Discouragement isolates, but encouragement reconnects. Think about that for a moment. Discouragement is like a wall. It tells you you're not enough, you don't belong, no one really sees you. And the more you listen to it, the more you withdraw from conversations, from opportunities, even from people who genuinely care about you. Now compare that with encouragement. When someone is kind to you, it may feel small on the surface, a smile, a thank you, a compliment. But underneath, it carries a deeper message. You matter. You belong. You're part of this. That's not pity. That's an invitation back into the circle of belonging. If you can reframe kindness as encouragement rather than pity, the emotional landscape inside you begins to shift. Suddenly, the world isn't throwing you scraps of sympathy as if you're the weak one everyone feels sorry for. Instead, the world is extending a hand of connection, a subtle reminder that you're not as alone as you think. And here's where Adler's perspective becomes life-changing. Encouragement is never one-sided. Just as others' kindness is meant to uplift you, your encouragement matters just as much to them. Think about the last time you told someone, "I'm proud of you," or "I appreciate you." Did you notice how their face lit up? That wasn't pity. That was shared humanity. So what once felt like weakness, needing kindness, craving reassurance, longing for connection, actually becomes a form of strength. Because to accept kindness is also to participate in kindness. It's to let yourself be part of the cycle of encouragement that holds communities, friendships, and families together. Adler believed that when you step into that cycle, loneliness begins to heal. Not because the world has changed, but because your interpretation has. The kindness you once pushed away as pity transforms into belonging, the very thing you've been longing for all along. So let's come back to the question, why do I assume people are only being nice out of pity? Because somewhere along the way, you learn to see yourself as less than, and that old story twisted kindness into charity. But Adler's message is clear. You are not less. You are equal. You belong. And the kindness reaching you isn't pity, it's connection. The real question now is, will you let yourself believe it? If this video spoke to you, take a moment to like it, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Not just for the algorithm, but because this channel is about building a community where encouragement replaces discouragement, where psychology isn't abstract, but lived. Remember, people aren't just being nice out of pity, they're reaching out because you matter. And maybe, just maybe, it's time to let that truth in.